righty. You guys go ahead. Yep. So, David sustained an unfortunate groin injury in practice, and so he'll be out this week. He'll be questionable. He'll be out this week. Yep. Kobe will be out as well. Yeah. Man, it's awesome. Maria, he's a pro's pro. A guy that I love being around. He's always kind of embodied a lot of the things that I think are right about the Rams in terms of the accountability, the toughness, both mentally and physically, reliability. True pro's pro, can compete really at a high level in both phases, whether that's running the football or whether that's protecting and, being a legitimate receiver out of the backfield. So, and I think it's a great example in that room. Being able to get him in here was something. We didn't want to lose him a couple years ago, but, he earned the opportunity to be able to go elsewhere, but we're glad to be able to have Malcolm back with us.
Is that as much his ability on the field as his maturity in that room? Is that part of it?
I wouldn't, you know what, I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but he definitely can provide helpful experiences and a veteran presence, whether you look at whether it was Sony or what Todd presented for us my first couple years here, even C.J. Anderson a couple years ago. So I don't think you can have enough good players at, any position. And so to be able to get Malcolm in here was something that when he was available, we wanted to explore that, and it's great to have him back.
This is the first time we've been able to talk to you since Bryson Hopkins was suspended.
Yeah.
How do you guys react to that kind of situation? I know somewhat unrelated with Bobby Brown, but two young players.
Sure. Yeah, I think what you do is you communicate, you understand, and these are things that usually are on a delayed punishment, that had happened quite a long period of time ago. And so you try to have an understanding of what went on. You try to be empathetic, but also, informative in terms of helping these guys learn from it and move forward. I think that it's very important, to give people some grace, but also understand the seriousness of some of these types of things and the consequences. And so being able to ask the right questions, have an understanding, and then making sure that they try to learn from it and we don't make the same mistakes twice is always the most important thing to me, Gary. But this was something that I knew was going to come down the wire at some point, and we kind of had always anticipated and expected that. And so it's unfortunate for the next 3 games, but I do believe that we had an understanding of what occurred, and I'm trusting him that we'll be able to move forward the right way and learn from it.
And then the opportunity to get Kendall Bland back into the fold. Can you explain how that happened, and also will he be active?
He will. Yeah. I would say that's the plan right now. And so, guy that knows the system, that's played, at a high level throughout the playoffs. And again, similar to Malcolm, being able to get somebody back in here, with just some of the situations and scenarios that have kind of come up. And we felt like that was the best thing. And so it's good to have Kendall back in here. Yeah. Rochelle should be in good shape. Obviously Darian Kendrick. And then, we've got some guys that are capable from the practice squad if need be. But I think really whether it's Jonathan Cooley, whether it's Chris Shula, Lance Schulters, obviously Raheem's heavily involved with the back end. Guys are ready to be able to step up. And we've got some guys that have the ability to play either or safety or corner spot. And we got some guys that can do a little bit of both. And so that's a positive for us. You never want to be able to lose guys, but confident in some of the guys that will be asked to step up.
The point with McKinley, he was talking about just kind of happy to be back on the field yesterday and acclimating. Is he someone that could play this Sunday, or will you guys let him?
No, he could play. It's I don't know if since I've been here, and it's a good thing to be able to get Tack in here. Obviously, Raheem has a familiarity with him, but I don't know if we've ever quite experienced some of these injuries and situations ever, and especially this early. It almost feels like COVID-esque type of things, but it's never going to be an excuse for us. We've got to have guys ready to go, ready to be able to step up. It doesn't seem like it was too long ago where I was addressing the team, before we played these guys on Monday night, and Reggie Scott comes in and says, you're losing 2 key critical starters where we had already lost a handful of guys because they ended up, popping a positive COVID. So, it feels similar to that situation with some of the things that have come up, none of which are an excuse for us not to be ready to go. But whether it's Tack, whether it's Kendall and Malcolm, and some of the DBs, there's a lot of moving parts, and I can't remember a time other than, when they had to move the game to Tuesday when we were playing Seattle that we've ever had this much going on, especially before we've even played our third game. I mean, holy heck.
So you look at this Arizona defense, obviously you guys have interchanged the last 11 times, you won 10 out of 11 meetings, especially primarily with J.J. Watt. What do you see from that defense, and what are some of the things that you guys have to kind of pay attention to a little bit more? I know it's only been a small sample
Sure.
this season, but what have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, I see, Nick, when you look at it, JJ's obviously an incredibly impactful player, and he's got the ability to play inside or outside. He made his presence felt immediately in that game the other day where he immediately gets Carr for a sack, beating the tackle quickly. He's a great player, and he can really play at a high level in both phases. You felt him. He made a huge impact in the Week 4 win that they had over us last year, and then for him to even come back from the injury that he sustained and play in the wild card game is a real credit to him. So he's a great player. I think Vance does an excellent job of being able to mix it up, and even though they have had continuity since the 19th season with their system, he's always adding wrinkles and little tweaks here and there, and he does a great job of being able to put his players in the right spots. And so it's going to be a great challenge. There is some foundational philosophies that are similar, but you got to always be ready to adjust because of what a great job Vance does and the great players that he's got.
Raheem was telling me yesterday about how his relationship with Tack, like kind of how he's talked to him a lot. What is it like to have a guy like that on your staff who you can trust? Maybe you don't have time to get to know everyone in the league, but someone who has that experience and that you can trust their judgment on and off the field.
It's huge. I mean, basically, it's an extension of being able to lean on somebody, whether it's, like you've heard me talk about Sarah, he's kind of a big brother to me. We're so close, and I have, total trust and confidence. And that's just who Raheem is. Like you guys talk, like Jalen brought it up to you guys. You talk about, I've heard John Wooden say it, and I mean, when I hear this, Raheem is one of the guys that comes to mind. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. He cares. He pours into these guys. And oh, by the way, he's an outstanding coach that helps guys reach their highest potential. And so it's really something that I definitely value tremendously. And he's got a lot of weight in terms of how his opinions matter to me. Oh, that's a hell of a question. I don't think so. I mean, he's so dynamic because he can beat you in so many different ways. And, they've obviously got a good scheme, but anytime that you're talking about a guy that can beat you with his arm, with his legs, and with his brain, those are always the most challenging things to defend. But his ability to be able to create on schedule, off schedule is really a challenge. But, keeping his eyes down the field, extending plays, the play is never over. You got to do a great job being able to rush as one, really all 11 playing on the same page. But he certainly stresses you out defensively. And I don't know if there's one all-encompassing way. The best way to slow any offense down is be efficient on those early downs if they're trying to run the football, and doing a great job of applying pressure to the quarterback as it relates to rushing the quarterback and playing good coverage on the second and third levels.
Where is Matthew compared to last season after 2 games? Where is he at? What do you see?
That's a good question. I think it's so hard to be able to compare. I think he's coming off of a great week. I thought he played excellent against the Falcons. I thought really, it was tough for us as a whole, starting with myself, but then really as a team against the Bills, and you give them credit. But I think he's playing, I think he's a great player. I think he's done a great job of using all his experience to apply it in the right ways, and he's had a great week of preparation, and looking to see him just continue to have that upward trajectory, which has definitely been reflected through the first 2 weeks. Okay? Thank you, guys.